See you on.
See you guys in the
I know.
All right. Who's up?
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this announcement. And those who are visiting us, welcome to Edmonton, Alberta's capital city, and the city of festivals. And so, good afternoon. And today is an exciting day. We're working incredibly hard in Edmonton to build housing our city needs. We are experiencing record growth. Our population grew by more than 100,000 people between 2021 and 2023. And we expect to welcome another 50,000 Edmontonians by 2026. Without additional housing supply, rents and mortgage costs will rise faster than income growth. And more people will experience the pressures of the housing market and homelessness. To maintain Edmonton's affordability, we must continue increasing the supply and diversity of housing in our city, especially non-market housing for thousands of low-income households. And I'm proud to say that Edmonton is being recognized across the country for our transformative efforts in tackling this challenge. And our efforts are making a real difference. And this is a good example of that. Edmonton has once again ranked number one in Canada because of our low development fees, robust planning processes, and efficient approval timelines. We are making innovative policy changes, forging stronger relationship with the housing sector and with the other orders of government, and directing investment to make land shovel-ready. And of course, the federal government has stepped up to support housing in Edmonton with the Housing Accelerator Fund. This federal investment has enabled Edmonton to build our housing action team, explore innovative automated permitting options, develop the infill housing infrastructure fund, and these funds are also helping us exceed the ambitious target we set in our affordable housing strategy. Together, we will work to keep housing affordable and accessible, that as Edmonton grows, we build a strong and more inclusive city where everyone has a place to call home. And we can't slow down now. In light of the unprecedented times that we're facing and the threats of tariffs that would make affordability crisis worse, we must do everything we can to defend our economy, protect our affordability advantage, and support Edmontonians. Today's announcement will do just that. Protect Canadian builders, build more housing, and keep Edmonton affordable. With that, I'm honored to introduce Prime Minister Mark Carney to tell us more about this plan to support Edmonton's growth and build the housing we need. So Prime Minister, thank you for coming home to Edmonton today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Monsieur le Maire, Amarjeet. It is great pleasure for me to be here, and I want to thank Emma and Adil from Ohit Homes and for inviting us here, hosting us here, but for what you're doing and being part of what is an incredible story in terms of housing. I looked out as I came in. We're in the shadow of Commonwealth Stadium, but when I think of it as in the shadow of Clark Stadium. Those of you who are from Edmonton remember those days. And the transformation of the stadium yards here is part of a bigger transformation in this city, which really is the most successful story in housing across the country, a story that needs to continue and needs to be emulated. I'm going to start on a slightly different point, though, if I may, which is something else that Canada's new government announced this morning, which is a provision of $187 million to support the reconstruction of roads, of campgrounds, of trails, and of housing in Jasper townsite, but the rest across the national park. It's a special place. Jasper's a special place, I think, for all of us Canadians, very much so for those from the region, those here in Edmonton. I knew it well growing up. And have some unforgettable memories from, Sublime, going around the lakes and camping or hiking, to the terrifying when a bear tore apart the tent next to us while we were cycling. So it was heartbreaking when the fires ravaged the park and through the town site. And this funding announced today will help residents get back home faster, rebuild the town stronger than ever, and also build out the park infrastructure. As the mayor said, I'm back in Edmonton. I owe everything to the city. It's where I grew up. It's the place that shaped my understanding of our great nation. It's where I was taught in the classroom, around the kitchen table, at the rink, the value of hard work, the strength of community, the importance of ambition and humility, and that's a uniquely Canadian combination, I think, combining ambition and humility, but we can get it right. These are good values, these are Alberta values, and back when I was growing up, that's what you needed to succeed. Quand j'étais jeune, c'était ça. Si tu avais travaillé fort, tu aurais été capable de vivre confortablement, d'avoir un logement qui avait du sens dans une communauté où il fait bon vivre. C'était le cas ici à Edmonton et à travers le pays, mais ce n'est plus le cas aujourd'hui. Un logement stable est la base du succès. Sans logement, on ne peut pas se concentrer sur son avenir. Sans logement, il est difficile de fonder une famille. Et sans logement, on ne peut pas bâtir l'économie la plus forte du G7. Stable housing, access to housing, is the foundation for success. Without housing, it's hard to focus on your future. Without housing, it's hard to start a family. Without housing, we can't build the strongest economy in the G7. And the reality today is that when Canadians, particularly young Canadians across the country, are doing everything right, studying hard, getting a good education or training, securing a well-paying job, saving up, they often barely have enough to pay the rent. Now, that's not true here. That's not true here with these units. That's not true here in Edmonton, but it's a bigger challenge across the country, and the challenge of being able to afford a home. And the reason is that Edmonton is not Canada. Canada is not building enough new homes. And so as a result, housing is just too expensive. And it's a problem that we in the government are now addressing head on. And I said right from the beginning when I launched my leadership bid just 2 months ago in Laurier Heights, not far from here, it's time to build. We need to get housing supply up. In fact, we need to double housing supply on an annual basis. We need to get that supply up so we can bring costs down. We need to build more at a faster pace. So my government will stimulate innovation and productivity and sustainability by promoting new technologies, such as modular and prefabricated homes that speed up completion times, lower costs for builders and buyers. We're working to remove barriers by cutting red tape, levies, development costs and chargers that the mayor just mentioned, reducing taxes, accelerating permitting approvals, and working directly with mayors. And this is really a story of success in those cities that are engaged, such as Edmonton, working directly with the cities through the Housing Accelerator Fund. It's made an impact here. It's making an impact across the country from Quebec City to Saskatoon, I know from personal experience. And the other thing we need to do, and I'd like to thank colleagues for being here who are building these homes. We need to grow the construction sector workforce, accelerate training and apprenticeship programs, improve the mobility of skilled labor. There's more than enough work right now in Edmonton, but we want to build up the work across the country. And we want the skilled workers to be able, if they so decide, to immediately go to another part of Canada and work there without any red tape or hassle. And that's going to be a focus when I meet provincial premiers tomorrow. Because it is a time to build, we are going to have a multi-decade building of this country, and it is going to be a great time to have a career in the trades. Now, in the coming weeks, we're going to announce a lot more on further increasing housing supply. But I want to just concentrate on the other side of the equation for a moment, which is how can we help Canadians, particularly younger Canadians, buy their first homes right now. So what I'm announcing today is that my new government will eliminate the GST for first-time home buyers on all new and substantially renovated homes under $1 million. This is a big deal because first-time home buyers are the major purchasers of new and substantially renovated homes. This can provide up to $50,000 in savings for families entering the housing market. It means that all first-time home buyers will need to save less for a deposit and they'll be able to move in sooner. And it will allow more first-time home buyers to realize their dream of home ownership, whether you're a nurse here in Edmonton, a teacher in Red Deer, or an equipment operator on the oil patch. Nous devons construire plus de logements, plus vite pour faire baisser les coûts. Notre gouvernement va investir dans l'innovation comme le logement modulaire préfabriqué pour accélérer la construction et réduire les prix. Notre gouvernement va éliminer les obstacles en réduisant le paperasse, les taxes et les frais de développement. Et notre gouvernement va former plus de travailleurs dans la construction parce que bâtir plus, c'est aussi créer de plus de bons emplois. Maintenant, les Canadiens et Canadiennes ont besoin d'abordabilité maintenant. C'est pourquoi nous éliminerons la TPS pour les premiers acheteurs sur les maisons de moins de $1 million. C'est jusqu'à 50 000 d'économies et non plus de familles à acheter plus vite. For generations, Canadians have built this country on the idea that if you work hard, you should be able to have a good home in a safe community. Together, let's build a Canada you can afford. Let's build the strongest economy in the G7. Let's build Canada strong. Thank you, merci, and I'd be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. We will take 15 minutes of question. On va prendre 15 minutes de questions. Please state your name and your outlet before beginning your question. S'il vous plaît, vous nommer ainsi que votre média avant de commencer la question. First question.
Hi, David Staples from the Edmonton Journal. Welcome to Edmonton.
Thank you.
You met with Premier Smith. She's advocating for the private sector to build pipelines across Canada. What I want to know is, you've said you're open to this kind of development, but can you make a commitment to Canadians and to Albertans that you will fight to get pipelines built?
Yeah.
That you will fight in the way that the industry wants, getting rid of the West Coast tanker ban, reforming C-69. Will you commit to those things?
Yeah, Dave, thank you for the question, David. Look, and I had a meeting with the Premier this morning. I'll be with all the premiers tomorrow for the First Minister's meeting. Let me tell you part of the focus of that meeting, because it goes directly to your question. It's about getting things done. It's about getting, yes, pipelines built across this country so that we can displace imports of foreign oil. It's about building out the energy infrastructure more broadly here in Alberta, which I would add would include projects such as the pathways. It's about building energy corridors and trade corridors, including potentially up from here through to Nunavut. So we have additional deep water ports and opportunities there. And so the commitment is to deliver those projects like those that we agree that are national priorities, and then the federal government, using all of its power, including new legislative powers or new legislation in order to accelerate delivering those projects. So then it gets into details of what's changed here and there, but the commitment is to deliver faster at a different scale. And if I may just add one other thing, you know, I said a week ago or 10 days ago that we need to do things that had not been imagined or had not been thought possible at a speed we haven't seen before. And that's the nature of the time. And in order to do that, we're going to need to use at the federal level, not just a commitment for cooperation, which we have under my government, but also additional levers that we create, and I'll be laying some of those out tomorrow with the premiers.
The Trump tariffs proposed, they're a big threat to our industry.
Yeah.
They're deregulating in the States. They're getting rid of taxes, carbon taxes, all kinds of taxes and regulation to free up industry. You're talking about bringing in an industrial carbon tax and supporting the emissions cap in Alberta. How is that going to help Canadian industry in the face of this threat from the United States?
Well, there's a couple of things, if I may, David. So first is the question of access, reliable access to the U.S. market. And in order to have reliable access to the U.S. market, we're going to need a comprehensive renegotiation of our economic and security partnership with the United States. You know, the American government has chosen to violate a number of aspects of that partnership for reasons known only to themselves. They're putting a tax on Alberta oil that serves no purpose other than to raise the price to U.S. consumers. And more broadly, the taxes on steel and aluminum and other ones coming, or the tariffs I should say, are outside the legal framework of CUSMA, USMCA. Okay, so we need to recast that. What we need to do in parallel is to make sure that our industry is as competitive as possible. And I'm much more interested in increasing the competitiveness of our energy sector, of our manufacturing sector, of our AI sector, and working with industry and with provinces on specific ways to get those reductions, as opposed to, and last point, which goes to your question, as opposed to having preset caps or preset restrictions on preset timelines. Thank you.
Next question.
Prime Minister, thanks for taking my question and welcome to Edmonton. And James from the Western Standard. You recently...
Sorry about the microphone.
Yeah, no problem. I'm a pretty tall guy. You have not been elected in a federal election yet, and you recently flew to Europe on government wide-body jet at the expense of at least $500,000. So the question I have for you today, and maybe I'll say this before I ask the question, these people around you all paid for that flight, and you've not been elected yet. So will you commit to refunding these taxpayers for that flight?
Well, it's an interesting question, way of framing it. Look, and I'm going to go back to, I'm going to allude to the question that was asked previously by Mr. Staples from the Journal, and the situation that we're in as a country, which is we are in an economic crisis that's brought on, sorry, I'm going to answer the question, brought on by the tariffs that have been put on Canada, actual and prospective. One of the challenges...
The economic crisis was brought on by former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and you were his advisor at the time.
I think you would find...
These people did not create that problem.
I certainly... hey, nobody in Canada created that problem. Nobody in Canada created that problem. The U.S. government has decided to put tariffs on all of its closest allies. All of its closest allies. I wouldn't for a moment suggest that anyone in Canada is the cause of this. What our responsibility is to take action to react to a different world that we're in. And part of the way we do that is we build out new partnerships, new opportunities, including opportunities, and I'm going to give you a specific one, and then I don't know if you have one more follow-up, but I'll give you a specific example. It goes to my previous answer. something I also discussed with the Premier this morning, which is Canada has many advantages, and one of them is in critical metals and minerals. One of the issues is how are we going to develop the trade routes and the trade corridors rapidly in order to export those critical metals and minerals. And who are our clients for that? Who are our customers? Do we only have one customer to the south of us? The customer that's attacking us? That doesn't respect the trade agreements that they signed? Or should we develop new customers? New customers in Europe. What's required, if I may, what's required for those new customers is to build out trade corridors and infrastructure, including what I referenced in my previous answer and discussed with the Premier, is the potential to go north, go to new deep water ports, Churchill as an example, Gray's Point in Nunavut as another. And that creates a whole new set of opportunities for Albertans as a whole, for people across the country, for these hardworking people around me and those like them in the trades. And that's
So
what my job
I'll
is.
take that as a no then.
No, you'll take that as a very comprehensive answer to your question.
Next question.
À l'ambassadeur de Radio-Canada, Donald Trump, le président américain, a dit qu'il préférait négocier avec un libéral qu'avec un conservateur. Poiliev y a répondu en disant c'est parce qu'il vous voyait comme quelqu'un de faible, un adversaire faible. Qu'est-ce que vous répondez à ça?
C'est pas correct du tout. Ce qui est clair, que Monsieur le Président, il veut avoir une négociation avec une personne sérieuse. Une personne sérieuse. Moi, je suis une personne sérieuse, premièrement. Et deuxièmement, il faut que Monsieur le Président, il rende du respect pour notre pays souverain. Et finalement, il faut avoir une négociation compréhensive, y compris des enjeux économiques et sécuritaires.
Deuxième question.
Oui.
Vous avez rencontré Daniel Smith hier. Elle a clairement endossé Pierre Poilievre. Elle a dit que votre plan était d'éviscérer l'Alberta. Quelles sont concrètement les choses que vous comptez faire pour convaincre elle et les Albertains que vous n'allez pas éviscérer l'Alberta, notamment avec le plafond sur les émissions?
Ouais.
C'est quoi votre plan clair?
Oui, pour moi, je suis une personne pratique, une pragmatiste, en effet. Alors, pour moi, c'est plus, il faut bâtir. Et qu'est-ce qu'on va bâtir? Il faut bâtir des logements à travers l'Alberta. On a des programmes qui fonctionnent maintenant ici à Edmonton, et M. Smith, Erskine Smith, le ministre des Logements et de l'Infrastructure, et moi et notre gouvernement, on va élargir des programmes qui fonctionnent pour l'Albertain, pour les Albertains, première chose. Deuxièmement, il faut investir maintenant dans des grands projets d'énergétique ici en Alberta et à travers le pays. Ça, c'est des choses concrètes. Ce n'est pas les mots, des choses concrètes. Je suis ici pour bâtir notre économie.
Est-ce que vous vous engagez à enlever ce plafond sur les émissions?
Ce qui est important, c'est d'avoir des mécanismes de réduire, en effet, de réduire les émissions. C'est une question de résultat. Il faut investir afin d'avoir tout cela, pas seulement avoir une loi. Alors, oui, je veux travailler avec l'industrie ici, en Alberta, et puis avec le gouvernement d'ici, afin d'atteindre ce but. Okay. C'est des résultats. Les résultats m'intéressent et les résultats intéressent les Canadiens et les Canadiens. Merci.
Merci. Prochaine question. Next question.
Hi.
Hi, Prime Minister. Jasmine King with Global Edmonton. We saw you with the Oilers this morning, and obviously
What'd you think?
this announcement. Nice shot.
I think I said
We
it,
saw
yeah.
you with obviously now with this announcement. Why is it important for you to build up a Liberal presence in Edmonton and Alberta, and what impact do you think this may have on an upcoming election?
Well, I'm Prime Minister of all of Canada, and the government serves all of Canada, and Edmonton's a hugely important part, obviously, of our country. So it's not tied to electoral timing. It's not tied to any specifics. This is, but something it is tied to is a very real need, which is around housing, and also a very real success story. I'm a firm believer that we learn from our mistakes, but we also learn from success. And there has been tremendous success. You think of the mayor will correct me because he knows all the figures, but I see it as about a 16% increase year on year, in construction, here in housing construction. That, if we had that across the country, we would be on track for what the country needs. So what can we learn from what Edmonton is doing right? And how do we emulate it? How do we reinforce it here? So that's part of the reason I'm here. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said to the previous answer, if I may, which is I'm a practical person. I like to see how things work and then correct mistakes, such as the consumer carbon tax, and reinforce things that are working, such as the Housing Accelerator Fund. And I'll hand back.
I was just kind of going off that. I mean, how are you hoping, as we're looking further now into election, that you can build up the Liberal Party in Alberta?
Well, look, I'm an Albertan. I grew up here, and Albertans are practical people, and they judge people on results and what they expect for those results. And the Liberal Party has a ways to go here, but we have very strong candidates. We'll have even more strong candidates, and we're offering a way of positive change for the country. And this is a positive province. It's a province that knows how to get things done, create new industries, and at the core of what I've said from day one in Laurier Heights, literally at the rink where I learned how to skate. You may not think I still know how to skate watching me with the Oilers, but didn't fall down at least. That is, it's time to build, and that's what we're offering Albertans and Canadians.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do last question. Dernière question, s'il vous plaît.
Travis McEwen, CBC News. Will you be calling an election this weekend?
Fair question. The first person who will know whether the recommendation to call an election will be the Governor General as for a convention. What's clear, Travis, is that in this time of crisis is that the government needs a strong and clear mandate. We're offering a positive vision for the country, a vision of action. You can see the action that's happened. I haven't been Prime Minister for a week yet, and you can see what we've done thus far. We do even more with that strong and clear mandate to move forward for the country, for all Canadians.
Last question.
What do you think of Mayor Sohi as a potential Liberal candidate to run in Edmonton in an upcoming federal election?
I think the following. I'm a great admirer of Mayor Sohi, and I think he served Edmonton and Canada nobly as a member of Parliament. He served Edmonton, and part of the reason I'm here, it's a testament to what this city has done in building housing, and not just housing, but affordable housing. You look, I understand that there are challenges in housing in Edmonton as well, but you look at the affordability metrics and others here relative to elsewhere in the country, it's very impressive with what's been done. Understands how to work both with the private sector, which is critical, such as the Renovated Group, and with government, with different layers of government. So I'm a big admirer of his, and I guess I know one other thing about him is that he's a public servant, and he will continue to serve Albertans, Edmontonians, Albertans, and I hope Canadians as well. Thanks very much.
En français sur Zoom.
En français, c'est quoi? Pour M. le maire ou pour toute la conférence de presse? OK. Ou ma réponse pour les Oilers? Non? OK.
Sur les élections et
sur les élections, OK. C'est la convention ici que la première personne qui sait la date d'élection, c'est le gouverneur général avant que les autres. Mais ce qui est clair, c'est nécessaire pour le gouvernement d'avoir un mandat clair, positif, pour le Parti libéral, un mandat clair et fort. Nous sommes dans une crise, il faut avoir un gouvernement fort, positif, et un gouvernement qui mette l'emphase sur l'action et de bâtir l'économie, bâtir notre économie et créer un Canada fort.
Pensez quoi de M. Sohi derrière vous?
Monsieur Sohi, je suis un grand admirateur de Monsieur le maire. Il était un serviteur de notre pays comme député au Parlement, bien sûr des citoyennes d'Edmonton comme maire. Et on a du succès ici à Edmonton à cause de lui. Et c'est politique, il sait comment on travaille avec le secteur privé et l'autre niveau de gouvernement. Ça, c'est vachement important dans notre pays. Alors, je sais que M. le maire est dédié aux citoyens. Et je souhaite et j'attends à ce qu'il soit une bonne serviteur public à l'avenir. OK. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Also, for the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much.